other of the brand new Volvo S60s. And there are members of the Polestar Cyan Racing team. So much for these guys to learn. They are right at the bottom of a massive mountain of information that they are going to be gathering this season before leading to a full tilt at the title next year with a 3-car effort. That's what they've committed to. Dutchman Tom Coronel looking forward to another entertaining race here at Le Castellet. Here's Royal Motorsport Chevrolet, very quick in qualifying, very quick and combative in the opening race of the season. René Munich in his Chevrolet. He's just completed not only the opening race in World Touring Cars, but 2 European Touring Car Cup races as well. So this is his 4th race of the day. He's second in that Chevrolet. The other 2 were in his Honda Civic, which he races in the European Touring Car Cup. Tom Chilton joins Mehdi Benani and Grégoire de Moustier at Sébastien Loeb Racing, 3 2015 spec Citroën C-Élysées, racing under the Sébastien Loeb Racing banner, and the factory Total Citroën Sport team with 2 updated C-Élysées for world champions Jose Maria Lopez, the double, and the reigning world champion and 4-time titleist, his teammate Ivan Muller. Well, Benani, very quick, helped Citroën to victory in the Mach 3 team time trial yesterday afternoon. Qualified very strongly indeed, and managed to finish in 2nd place in the season opener. He lies 2nd in the championship standings. Ugo Valente started on pole position. Ted Björk's Volvo was 10th at the end of qualifying. Should have been on pole for the opening race, but failed a ride height test after qualifying, and as a result lost his times, and that moved Valente up from 11th to 10th, and that meant he was the DHL pole sitter for our opening race, and we'll start this one in 10th place. Ted Björk back at the grid for both races. So pit lane open for another 2.5 minutes. Fredrik Ekblom comes back out. Ekblom's car damaged, it would seem, by a curb strike early in the race. Again, as well as learning about what the Yokohama tyres do and don't do, and how you use them, how to get the best out of them, temperatures, pressures, cambers. They've also got to work out what everybody else does in the races, who you can trust intimately when you're alongside them, and who you've just got to have a real eye on. And that is something that everybody in the championship, as they have come in, has learned to develop that sixth sense about where you can and can't, who you can and can't chance your arm with. Gabriele Tarquini, one of the most experienced drivers in the field, one of the 200-plus race members. He's been with this championship right from the beginning. A host of race wins. Tarquini with 20 victories under his belt. Rob Huff with 3 in the opener at lunchtime, now up to 28 wins. And Ivan Muller, the runaway overall leader in race victories with 47. Will he add another to keep that 20 race win advantage over Rob Huff? Starts in 3rd place on the grid. It's possible. Katzberg joined the Lada team early last year and has been recalled this year. Rob Huff has moved over to Honda as a factory Honda driver. Gabriele Tarquini moving in the other direction from Honda and taking up a drive with Lada to stay in the championship. Championship he's been part of for so long, and I'm sure he's been very pleasantly surprised at the pace of the Lada in its 2016 guys. Our poleman comes to the very front spot on the grid, our world champion, Jose Maria Lopez. The Argentine wearing his familiar number 37. Rob Huff with his number 12 on the car. Our opening race winner, the championship leader. Tom Chilton, his first race weekend with Sébastien Loeb Racing and with a Citroën C-Élysées. He will start just outside the top 10 in 12th. Pit lane is closed. Everybody must be either out of the pit lane now, or that's where they will have to start the race. Cars coming to the grid for the second round of the FIA World Touring Car Championship. Rob Huff had a brief moment of panic when there were no lights on the Christmas tree when he tried to start the car. That seems to have been abated, and he is now taking his place on the grid along with everybody else. Rob Huff, in his first weekend as a factory Honda racing driver, on the grid. Rolling in front of him, Mehdi Benani. They were first and second in our opening race of the championship earlier today. Some of them with drivers in. On the extreme left of your picture, the man walking away from you is Rob Huff, returning to his car. We've seen Hugo Vallon disappearing off to answer the call of nature, Grégoire de Moustier as well. And this was recorded a moment or two ago. Huffy bailing out. Not the quickest jobs. It's not just like stopping the car and undoing your seatbelt at home. You've got to undo all the seatbelts, take the steering wheel off, radio connections, the window nets and everything else. And Huffy waiting for the car to be lifted up so that he can then jump out. So there you go, we saw him wandering away earlier, we've seen him wandering back now, so he'll be reversing that process. This was a little earlier on, trying to get the car to fire. No lights on the dash, no power. But that was in the pit lane. Hopefully now, everything should be back to normal. In the team time trial, the Mach 3, the three Hondas were lined up on the start-finish line, side by side, ready to start their high-speed 2 laps. Huffy managed to stall the car. From the front row of the grid in our opening race, Ugo Valenti was on pole, Huffy alongside him. Huffy made a blistering start. Too much wheel spin from Valente, and Huff the leader into turn 1. And as he said himself, a boring race out front, exactly how I like it, i.e. nobody got close to him after that, and he romped away to the first win of the season, the 28th of his career. Well, he's not going to do romping away from 9th place on the main race grid, but the way the Honda was in qualifying and in our opening race, he may well be picking up places. It's going to be very tough as ever to make ground at the front of this field. So many good drivers, so many good cars. René Munich, his 4th race of the day. He's going to be starting to get a little bit tired, I should think. 2 races back-to-back in the European Touring Car Cup in his Munich Motorsport Honda Civic. And this is the 2nd of the day in his Munich Motorsport Chevrolet Cruze. Also will partake in the World Rallycross Championship this season. Ted Bjerg starts just in front of him in the Volvo S60. First day in the championship for a lot of these guys. Some of the faces that we were used to seeing 3 or 4 years ago when they were running the C30 are back. And we anticipate when they bring a 3rd car next year that we may well see the return of Robert Dahlgren to the championship to join Fredrik Ekblom and Ted Bjerg. John Philippi returns to the series again this year. Last year in his Chevrolet, his first in the series. Now sponsored by Oscaro, very predominantly, and with Chevrolet again, aiming to build on his speed and his experience from last year with the Cross Racing Chevy. And build on his speed and experience as well is Frenchman Grégoire de Moustier, starting the season on home soil. And this Manicourt track is one of the few that he visited last year. I think one of possibly only 2 that he'd ever seen before. And so turned into one of his better race weekends. He's got a new car under him, though, in the Citroën C-Elysée, as has Tom Chilton. Tom's engineer from last year stays with him, but it's a very different car, and neither of them know it. Engineer Nick Sylvester is new to the Citroën C-Elysée, doesn't know its foibles, and so they are taking a lot of advice from Sebastian Loeb Racing, who at least have the knowledge of running Mehdi Benani last year. Just ahead of Chilton, in 11th place on the grid, Gabriele Tarquini. Car now repaired after the shunt from de Moustier that put him out of race 1. Null point, or whatever the Italian for that is, for Gabriele in race 1. and he will hope to improve upon that in this Lada Vesta. It seems to be a real step forward from last year's car. Last year, the first year with the car, they were late to be finished, late to arrive with their drivers, and they didn't instill an awful lot of confidence with their lack of reliability early in the season. The potential was there, and it looks like a lot of it has been unlocked this year. Ugo Valente will line up in 10th place in his Lada Vesta. Last year, he was racing in a Chevy Cruze. So a very different car under him as well. Valente started on pole for our opening race. Rob Huff here started alongside him, outside front row. Made a better start, took the line into the first corner and raced away to victory. Only one man has ever won 2 World Touring Car races in the same weekend in France, and that was Jörg Müller in a BMW 320 back in 2005. 11 years later, Huff will need some kind of sedative if he wins race 2 here.
Yeah, it's something in the drivetrain, Nicola, because when I lift off, you get like a dunk, and then when you go back on...
Мировой туринг.
Sport Chevrolet, 1 day of testing so far this year, and they have made some fairly dramatic changes to the setup on the car. It would seem that they have unlocked speed that they couldn't find before, at least here at Paul Ricard. And he made it through into Q3, joining the 2 factory Citroens. Jan Müller was the last to go. He'd been fastest in Q2. And he was trying to beat the time of his teammate Jose Maria Lopez. He was up in the first sector, but lost time in sector 2 and sector 3 to come across the line. Not second, but third, because Thiago Montero's Honda Civic had produced a fantastic lap, and he claimed the outside front row starting position. But once more, and for the first time in France, it was the world champion, Jose Maria Lopez, who went to the secret hidden compartment where he keeps epic qualifying laps, who came out with the DHL pole for our main race here in France. DHL pole sitter for the 15th time in his career. He took 7 poles in 2014, 7 in 2015 from 12 attempts, and this is his first of 2016. So he starts the main race on pole. Good strong race in the opening race, bearing in mind that he wanted to pass people but also had to preserve his car for the main race, where he would be starting at the sharp end of the field. The bonus for him is that he now has the chance to try and reclaim some of the points taken by the likes of Rob Huff and Mehdi Bani and Thiago Montero and Norbert Michelisz. 1 minute to go, engines being started before the final formation lap. Now I will look out of my window a little to my left to ensure that everybody has left Rob Huff on his own, and they have, which I'm assuming to mean his car has started. Certainly it has LEDs on at the front. Tom Coronel looking very relaxed. We may hear from Rob on the formation lap. Ivan Müller, third on the grid, inside the Toto Racing Citroen. There is our DHL pole sitter, Jose Maria Lopez, a little to the left of the centre of his grid spot. The pit wall will be closed, the pit lane is closed. The cars will head off the grid for the final formation lap. Green flag waves at the back, and they're waved away at the start of last formation lap, the green flag lap, prior to returning to the grid for the main race here in France. Jose Maria Lopez, Thiago Montero, Ivan Müller, the first three off the grid, on board with Gabriele Tarquini. In front of him, teammate Ugo Valente. There is Ugo, there is Gabriele. And behind 2 Citroens, Tom Chilton, Gregoire de Moustier. The 5th Citroen in the field, Mehdi Banani starts in 7th place behind Coronel and Katzberg. Michelisz there, and there's Banani, the blue car of Ekblom. Well, let's hear from Tom Coronel.
Okay, welcome WTCC race fans. As you see, I'm waving because I'm heating up the tires. Something different than last year are these two nets on the sides. This is an interesting corner for a race driver. You will see some good moves here probably in the first lap, but it's almost flat. We're driving the small course here in Paul Ricard. So after the straight, you can also still go further through, but for touring car racing, I think it's interesting. This is also an interesting corner, third gear. You can dive on the inside, as I did in race 1, where I finished P9. But somehow I'm up between the factory guys. And I'm very happy with that, because our qualifying was better than we had expected. Trying to heat up the tires and also the brakes. In front of me is Ivan Müller, and behind me Nick Katzberg. We had a really good first race with the other Dutchman. Go up to the last two corners. The left-hander here, very difficult for the braking. You stay on the inside, close to the tire pack. And then a very slow corner for the straight, the first corner. It's very easy for overtaking, but there's some escape road on the exit. Guys, I'm going to get prepared for start. Keep pushing, because race 1 was an interesting one, and race 2 will be even better. Bye-bye.
Tom Coronel, as ever, multitasking. Jose Maria Lopez brings the number 37, Sitchin Cielize, to the pole position. Thiago Monteiro alongside him. Ivan Muller, 68. That's the number of his department in Alsace. He lines up in third. With Tom Coronel, as he said, among the factory drivers, the sharp end of the field, fourth after qualifying. So he is fourth on the grid for the main race outside of row 2. The field warming up behind him. Cars on the grid in Paul Ricard. The final car will be the black Chevrolet of René Munich, and as he pulls onto the grid position, we are ready for the second round of the championship. The main race here in France. Jose Maria Lopez on pole on your right, Thiago Monteiro on the left, behind them Ivan Muller and Tom Coronel, and away we go. And not a great start from Lopez. Muller trying to show his nose. Fredrik Ekblom comes around Tom Coronel, who didn't get away at all. Muller to the inside, but Lopez cuts his nose off. Muller shut the door on Thiago Monteiro. Out backwards goes Rob Huff. He was helped out by somebody or other. Damage to the right rear. Hopefully bodywork only, not suspension. But his chance of a double win has definitely gone west, and swinging out wide, Nicky Katzberg, wheel-to-wheel with Norbert Michelisz. Tom Coronel bounces into the chicane, and Huff's got trouble, trying to go by René Munich, but I'm not sure the car is underneath him. Lopez and Muller, the two red cars. Monteiro in third, and we're with Valente. He's been passed by his teammate. No, he hasn't. That's not Tarquini, that's Nicky Katzberg. So Valente's made a good start. Mehdi Benani between them, out of senior. Benani guards the inside line. Let's hear from Rob Huff what happened.
The fire's been off completely, and we've got broken suspension.
So I didn't hear who fired him off completely, but broken suspension. End of the race then for Rob Huff. One win, one DNF. It's a bit of a tough break for him at the start of the main race here. 17 laps. Opening race was 16, so it's a little longer, more overtaking opportunities. And for Sitchins, like Mehdi Benani's here in front of us, with an 80-kilo success ballast, more opportunity for tyre and brake wear. Valente dives to the inside and goes by, gets past the Moroccan driver. Nicky Katzberg's in front of him. He's already gone by as well. And Fredrik Ekblom will be lining up behind Benani. The Volvo you can see on the outside. Benani guards the inside. Lopez leads from Muller and Monteiro. Michelisz fourth. This is the battle for fifth. Katzberg there rather in fifth, Valente in sixth position, Benani in seventh. Chilton flies through to eighth ahead of the Volvo. Dust everywhere. So there is Fredrik Ekblom, and Gabriele Tarquini goes outside, inside, shunting his way past Ekblom. Elbows out from the Italian. And Tom Coronel now is right behind the first of the two blue Volvos. So Ekblom down to 10th place. Coronel's got in front of Moustier. And there is the second place car of Ivan Muller. Jose Maria Lopez first in the red and grey. Sitchins is just in front. for Thiago Monteiro, he has got to really try and work with Ivan Muller to close up on Lopez. The two of their cars together will go quicker than Lopez on his own. And Monteiro's not going to win if he attacks Muller now, but he could win if he follows Muller and allows Muller to attack Lopez and allow the Citroën drivers to wear out their tyres and brakes. They are 80 kilos heavier than anyone else in the field, the Citroëns, and you must use that advantage while it still exists. Coronel chasing Ekblom. Ekblom started the lap in 8th position. Lopez, Muller and Monteiro come across the line. Muller 0.6 behind Lopez, Monteiro 0.4 behind Muller. And John Philippi and Gregoire de Moustier ganging up on Tom Coronel. Neither of them get through. Coronel in 11th, Ekblom just in front of him in 10th, and de Moustier in 12th place. All arms and elbows start to race too. Rob Huff out, René Munich out as well. Or is he? It looks like Rob Huff, in fact, is continuing on rather than going into the pit lane. Ivan Muller set the fastest race lap last time round, closing down our race leader. Let's take a look at the start. Tom Coronel starts to move, and like Rob Huff at the beginning of Mach 3, the car then stalls. Didn't quite have the revs and clutch balance right, and he got away right at the tail of the field. On board with Gabriele Tarquini, that's Huff in front of us. It'll be interesting to follow now into the first couple of corners and see who exactly it was who clattered into Rob. Tarquini, hits teammate Valente, and Valente then hits Rob Huff. No fault of Valente's.
Because it was completely stupid. I made a great start and slowed the car down enough, and they just completely hit me in the rear right so hard.
Well, there we go. We saw what happened. The contact was Valente, but it was Tarquini who thumped his teammate from behind and pushed Valente straight through the braking zone into the back of Rob Huff. So Ugo Valente was blameless in that one. I'm afraid Gabriele outbraked himself, got a little over-ambitious. Here's the battle for second. Ivan Muller just in front of Thiago Monteiro, and Ted Björk, the Volvo, parked at the side of the track. Doesn't seem to have damage on this side. So first race weekend with a brand new car. I'm afraid it looks like the Polestar boys have got a bit of a technical issue. Just saw Fredrik Verlen there, the head of their engineering lineup. Everybody else sweeping through senior at high speed. Jose Maria Lopez leading the main race at Paul Ricard in France. This, though, the battle between Ugo Valente and Mehdi Benani. The Frenchman in the Lada, the Moroccan in the Citroën. And they are squabbling for 6th position. Philippe Leloup from the Orica team there with the other engineers on the pit wall. And there is your top 3, soon to become a top 4. Thiago Monteiro having a little look at Ivan Muller. Muller is not close enough to Jose Maria Lopez for Monteiro's liking, but when Norbert Michelis joins in behind, Monteiro will not be on his own. He will have a teammate, and they can work hard against Ivan Muller to try and get by the Frenchman and attack his teammate. Rob Huff is continuing, so it's not broken suspension. The car might be handling like a bag of spanners, but he is now trying to work his way back up the order. He's got past John Philippi. He's attacking Gregoire de Moustier. And Huffy, with his tail up, dives straight to the inside. Block pass, shuts the door on de Moustier as he turns into the chicane. And he is now up to 12th place. In front of him is Tom Coronel in 11th. Fredrik Blom, the blue Volvo, in 10th. And there Gabriele Tarquini in 9th, the engineer of Rob Huff's exit sideways out of the first turn of the race. Huffy doesn't know it yet, unless the team have told him on the radio. He wasn't sure who had hit him. But we've seen in replay who was responsible for the contact, not who actually made the contact. Lopez 0.8 in front, there's Rob's mum. Very happy with the result from race 1, obviously. Her boy Robert claiming victory. Teammate Thiago Monteiro looking for something here. Stewards are going to investigate the incident between cars 2, Gabriele Tarquini, car 7, Ugo Valente, and car 12, Rob Huff. Well, shouldn't take too much investigation. Gabriele got a bit ambitious. No fault from Valente. Certainly Huff, nothing to answer there. So whether or not Gabriele receives a penalty post-race, during the race or not, we will wait and see. Battle for second, Ivan Muller and Thiago Monteiro, just slipping slightly behind Jose Maria Lopez. Lopez needs two things. He needs Muller to hold off Monteiro all the way to the checkered flag, and he needs Muller and Monteiro to drop away from behind him, because as this race progresses, the extra heavy Citroens will wear their tyres and their brakes more than the Hondas that are giving chase. And the earlier Monteiro gets by Muller, the greater the chance Monteiro has of getting to the race leader. Drive-through penalty for Gabriele Tarquini. You ruin somebody's race, the stewards are duty-bound to ruin yours. Tarquini got too ambitious into turn 1, so he will take a drop-through.
We have a drive-through.
So that was his engineer telling Gabriele a drive-through penalty, and he may well have been expecting that to come. He knows that he hit Valente, he knows Valente hit Huff, he knows that Huff went off. It wasn't intentional, but it still happened. And whether by design or accident, you will end up paying the penalty when you make a mistake like that. Oh, big slide for Ivan Muller off the first corner. Here comes Thiago Monteiro, very close indeed. Really piling the pressure on the Citroen. We're starting to see Muller struggling now for grip, under braking. 80 kilos more to slow down, 80 kilos more for the tyres to handle, 80 kilos more to speed up off every corner as well. And that is all taking its time. And look how Lopez is not able to escape. Granted, Monteiro and Michelitz are in a slipstream, but even in race 1, we saw that world champion had trouble passing people in his Citroen. Rob Huff up behind Frederick Ekblom, flashing the headlights. Ekblom possibly not really going to be affected too much by that. René Munich brings the Munich Motorsport Chevrolet back to the pit lane. And Rob Huff drops away just a fraction from the Volvo of Frederick Ekblom. Ekblom up behind Gabriele Tarquini. He'll be released soon or later as Tarquini goes in for his drive-through. Ivan Muller with Thiago Monteiro again pressing. And Thiago's just got to push as hard as he can now. He really wants to get onto the podium here. He really wants to move up to second place. And he can sense that if he can get by Muller now, then he has got a real chance of catching Lopez. This is lap 8 of 17, 9 to go. He's got a real shot, but the longer it takes to get by, the worse it's going to be. Ekblom, Huff, Coronel and de Moustier, that's the cue there. Oh, and Huffy trying to get inside, just a little touch between the two of them. I thought we'd seen Gabriele Tarquini, just a flash of him in front. I don't think he's been in for his penalty yet. He has. Tarquini has come into the pits to serve his penalty. So this is now the battle for 9th place. Ekblom 9th in the Volvo. Huff trying to sweep around the outside and go inside into Senior. And through he goes into 9th. A flat in top gear pass. Rob Huff up the inside of Frederick Ekblom, has to use all the road on the exit. And now Coronel and de Moustier and Philippi are queuing up to have a run at the Volvo, and Coronel's on the inside. There's contact. Ekblom again holds on. Ekblom might be new to the World Touring Car Championship. He might be new to the circuit here at Paul Ricard, but he's a very experienced touring car driver, and he knows how to handle a little bit of rubbing. And there is Muller. Muller's run out wide from second place, out of the final corner. Couldn't get the traction he wanted. Monteiro's gone through. Michelitz on the inside as well, towing up behind Thiago. He'll be on the inside of Ivan. Ivan will brake as desperately late as he can, but the Hondas go through 2 and 3, and now the game is on. Half the race is run. and Lopez is on his own with two Hondas in his tow. Gregoire de Moustier runs out wide at the first turn. His Citroën has run into brake problems, or he has, one or the other. Rob Huff ahead, Frederick Ekblom in Volvo. And here is the pass, down the inside. Oh, Thiago made big contact with Ivan. Door open, lunge to the inside. Can't call that. Can't call that. Gonna leave that to the stewards. Our race director, Mirek Bartos, will have to decide on that one. Well, the Honda team like the result. We'll have to wait and see whether there will be a penalty to be served for that. However, Ivan Muller now down to fourth place. Jose Maria Lopez at the beginning of the last lap was 2.8 seconds ahead of Thiago Monteiro and Norbert Michelis. But Norby was only 74 thousandths in front of Ivan, and that is more like 0.3 of a second now. So, are the two Hondas closing? No, gap's gone out to 3.2. So Lopez has now turned up the mixture and turned up the boost. Well, not turned up the boost, but turned up his internal boost. And here is a replay. The Volvo, Frederick Ekblom and Tom Cornell. There's Huffy's car, missing its back bumper. Coronel trying to get inside Ekblom. Well, Coronel and Huff both delayed at the start for different reasons. Battling hard with that Volvo. There's your race leader. And Lopez, we know, turned down the fuel map in the middle of race one when he was on his own, and then started to attack again towards the end when he knew he had a little bit of fire and brake left to try and close on the group in front of him. And I'm sure he was pacing himself when Ivan was trying to hold off Thiago Monteiro. And now Lopez is really flying. Fastest lap of the race from him, 30.79. His last lap of 31.48. Gabriele Tarquini has just left the pits. Seems like a long drive. I wonder if there's a little work going on there as well. We didn't see it. Teammate to Gabriele Tarquini, Ugo Valente, is in sixth position ahead of Mehdi Benani and Tom Chilton. The two of them in their very different coloured but identically patterned Citroën C-Élysées, run by Sebastian Loeb Racing. And there is the brains trust on the pit wall at Lada. Valente with that damaged left front corner from the contact with Huff. And the gaps come down. Lopez now 2.89 in front. Lopez at 131.6. Thiago 131.2. Norby 131.3 behind him. So the Honda's taking 4 tenths nearly out of Lopez. He's got 28 tenths. What's that? 6 fours at 24, 7 fours at 28, 7 laps. They've got 7 laps left. At that rate, they will only just catch him by the end of the race. That's not enough. They must close faster. Further back, here is the battle with Ugo Valente and the Citroëns. The Lada holding off 2 Citroëns. Yes, I said that. And Valente in 6th position. Benani second in the championship after race 1. Rob Huff was the points leader after race 1. Benani at the moment, he's not going to lead. Oh, and Chilton looked to turn inside Benani and then had to just adjust his line a little. Long slide. Looks like Chilton has got the quicker of the 2 Citroëns. But Benani more experienced in the way the car handles, although of course last year it didn't have 80 kilos more weight than anybody else. Never had more than 60 kilos of success ballast. That was later on in the season, didn't start with any. Ugo Valente comes across the line, still in 6th position. Teammate Nicky Katzberg in 5th. And Gabriele Tarquini, of course, with that drive-through. He is down in 14th place in the 3rd Lada, but Lada's 5th and 6th, having a good run here with their 2 young drivers, Katzberg and new boy Valente. Race leader still Jose Maria Lopez, ahead of Thiago Monteiro and Norbert Michelis. Gap come down to 2.27 seconds at the end of the last lap. Thiago just setting the fastest first sector of his race. He is really head down and charging, and Norby is trying to stay with him in the other of the factory Hondas. But there is your race leader. See how the gap has come down from 3.2 to 2.2 in 2 laps. But Thiago has now lost his aerodynamic slipstreaming teammate. Norby has dropped away from the back of the Castrol car, and the grey, white and red Honda is not able to help as much. On board with Rob Huff, closing in on the battle for 6th position. Valente, Bernani and closest to us Chilton. Let's hear from Gabriele Tarquini.
Yes, stop, okay.
Okay, so it looks as though Gabriele has got a legacy either from race 1 contact or race 2 contact. Valente with Bernani and Chilton now trying to look down the inside. Huff goes late to the inside. That's not happening, is it? Is it? No, yes, no, yes, no. Chilton sees the danger and shuts the door. Wasn't really open for Huffy there, but now it is. The Honda all over the back of the Citroen, sells the dummy. Chilton covers inside, runs out wide on the outside. Huff sweeps around into the chicane, and Tom gives him just enough room to survive. Great racing by both men. Huff up to 8th, Chilton in 9th place, and Bernani and Valente will be caught by these two fairly quickly. Behind Frederick Ekblom, the blue car, then Tom Coronel just out of the points, John Philippi in 12th behind him. Lopez leading, the gap last lap 2.0, only came down 2 tenths. He responded with a 1:31.3 to a 1:31.1 of Thiago. Right now, Huff trying to hold off Chilton for a moment. Looks like despite the extra weight, the Citroen is still a nimble little beast through this twisty stuff. Maybe the clout Huffy got has deranged his rear suspension alignment slightly, and that's all you need. Well, this is the way he sells the dummy. Chilton has to defend on the inside. Deep on the inside means he runs out wide on the outside. Huff knew that was going to happen, sold the dummy, tucked into the inside, and through he went. And that's what it looks like from the outside. Forces Chilton to go in flat and early, comes out wide and late, just enough for Huff to survive. And now he is towing up behind Valente in the yellow Lada and Bernani in the red, white and green of Moroccan-coloured Citroen CLZ. So Huff already up to 8th, looking for 7th or 6th or both. And there's Lopez. Gap was 1.6 at the line. This is lap 14 of 17.
Laps to go. Gap with Montero is 1.6.
There you go. It was 4 laps to go at the end of the last lap. Montero 1.6 behind. And is that gap coming down on this lap? 35.8 first sector for Lopez, 35.1 first sector for Montero. 31.7 to 32.0. So he lost 7 tenths, pulled back 3 tenths in sector 2. Sector 2 and 3 was where Lopez was supreme in qualifying. So what will be the margin at the end of the lap? Thiago can almost smell the exhaust of the Citroen. He's so close. Lopez crosses the line, not 1.65. But 0.82 ahead. Thiago has taken 8 tenths of a second out of him, getting on for 9 tenths and half inside Bernani. The Citroens are paying the penalty for that 80 kilos of success ballast. They are all running out of brakes. They are all running out of tyres. They are all running out of speed. Lopez is being hunted by Montero as Huff slices past Bernani. Huffy now up to 7th, Ugo Valente, his target. This is lap 15, 2 more remain after this. The Castrol Hondas on the attack. The view back from Ugo Valente, Rob Huff flashing all the lights, showing all the signals to Valente. I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. I'm sure Thiago Monteiro isn't bothering to flash Jose Maria Lopez. He's just concentrating on trying to lap quicker. And he went a fraction slower. Lopez, oh no, he didn't. He went nearly 4 tenths quicker in the first sector, and he has gone a fraction slower in the second sector. Lopez desperately responding with everything he can. It's the tight and twisty stuff that's hurting most now for the Citroën driver. The gap at the line was 0.826 last time. This time round, it'll be closer to half a second. Thiago Monteiro is clawing his way back up to the world champion. 0.60, Huff down the inside of Bernani. We saw that at the end of the last lap. And now he'll be trying at the end of this lap to get in touch with Hugo Valente. Monteiro, they're now on lap 16 of 17. And Huff past Bernani for 7th, trying to catch Valente in the larder for 6th. And here is the leader.
Formation 30, overtake Muller, turn 10. So take care, turn 10.
Okay, take care, no kidding. I think he will take care. Lopez with a lap and a half to go to try and win his first race of the season. Hugo Valente with Rob Huff right behind. Valente trying to stay right on the run up to senior. Huff goes to the outside, that's the better racing line. Valente will run out wide. Huff's going to try and tuck inside him on the exit, can't. Looking down to the inside, into Lebose. The Lada can hold a very tight line here. Can the Honda? Yes, now it starts to turn tighter. He's going to pile the pressure on. There'll be 1 lap to go at the line. This is lap 16 of 17, and Huff looking for 6th position at the end of the race, where he knocked to the back of the field. Lopez starts the last lap with Monteiro a car length and a half behind him. 0.248 of a second. Monteiro needs to defend for 4 more kilometres. Beg your pardon, Lopez needs to defend for 4 more kilometres. Monteiro's within touching distance. And down where they almost fell out in a big way last year. Huff goes by the length. 1 and 2 last year. It was Lopez versus Monteiro, and there was a big mission. Huff's gone up to 6th, but Lopez and Monteiro avoid contact between 1 and 2 this year. Final corner, Huff gets inside, and Valente didn't have the traction to match the Honda driver alongside him. 2012 world champion moves into the top half dozen. I can't do the maths. He might be the championship leader now. Not quite sure. Jose Lopez leads. Might come down to what Thiago Monteiro does to Jose Maria Lopez. Somewhere out on the track. There they are. They're already out of Sia. They're out of Lose. This is the final couple of corners. And Jose Maria Lopez is going to win in France. His 3rd victory in the FIA World Touring Car Championship in France. He won race 2 in 2014, race 2 in 2015. He wins the main race here, the 2nd of the day in Paul Ricard. The checkered flag flies, and Jose Maria Lopez claims victory number 22 of his World Championship career. And Thiago Monteiro 0.28 behind. Michaelis 3rd. Ivan Muller 4th, Nicky Katzberg 5th, and Rob Huff will take 6th position. So all 3 Honda Civic factory cars in the top half dozen. Hugo Valente 7th ahead of Mehdi Bernani and Tom Chilton, and Tom Coronel behind Frederick Ekblom, trying to hold off John Philippi in a Chevrolet drag race to the line, and it goes to Tom Coronel by 24 thousandths of a second. Let's hear from our race winner.
Yes, we hear it. Yes, yes.
So Jose Maria Lopez takes victory in the main race here in France. And Tom Coronel loving that one. I'm not sure what the muscle thing was. Maybe his power steering had gone earlier in the race and he's pumped up his biceps and his forearms like nobody's business. But a win for the factory Citroën team, and the world champion wins the main race here in France. Citroën defeated in race 1. Rob Huff took victory for Honda. Honda's first win in France. And that was in the opening race. The main race, Jose Maria Lopez wins for Sitchin. Good race from Hugo Valente, finished in 7th place. Teammate Nicky Katzberg, 5th for Lada, at the end of a good weekend.